Good evening everyone and welcome to my fully interactive Facebook Live with the wedding guru Oscar. I've got a fantastic guest speaker hosting for this evening. I will be interviewing Mette from Freja Designer Dressmaking. We'll be talking all things wedding dresses, designs and just anything to do with wedding fashion, which is very exciting, and I think it's very much a topic on trend at the minute, which I think many of you will be joining us for today, and we will have the opportunity to speak with our expert guest speaker in just a moment. So before we get started, I see that there's a few of you already clicking on, which is absolutely exciting, but we'll give everyone the opportunity to join us live as we begin with our interview. So a couple of housekeeping rules for those of you who are joining us right now. Please do say hello in the comment boxes below. Tell us your name, tell us where you're joining us from today. The more interaction we've got from yourselves, the more fun and informative we can make this session for you. This is your one-off opportunity to speak with our expert guest speaker today, and like I said, for those of you who have just joined us now, I am hosting Mette from Freja Designer Dressmaking. What did I want to say next? A couple of housekeeping rules. So for those of you who are joining us on repeat, those sessions will be available after the session is finished. So make sure you comment #repeat in the comment boxes below, and that way Mette and I can come back to you with any questions or answers after the sessions have finished as well. We are currently going live across 3 platforms. We are going live in my Facebook page, The Wedding Guru Oscar. We're also live in my private bridal group, Interactive Facebook Lives with the Wedding Guru Oscar, and we're also live on YouTube, which is super exciting, guys. And for that reason, I'm having to use a third-party streaming software called StreamYard. So if you are joining me right now, me and Mette right now in the group, you might see this little notification right at the bottom of your screen or at the top of your screen, depending on the device you're joining us on today. So make sure that you follow the little link that is available there. That way Facebook will allow to pop your name up on the screen with any comments or questions. If you don't know how to do that, don't stress, it's absolutely fine. Just make sure you pop your name before any comments or questions. That way Mette and I can answer them specifically to yourself as well. One thing that I would want to also mention is that I've got a freebie for you guys. Very exciting. Right at the end of our session today, I will be sharing with you one of my free guides, which will be available right at the end. So if you stay with us till the end, that will be available for you to take away today as well. Okie dokie. You might have noticed George is not joining me today. George is actually helping with renovations of our new flat, so he will be missing out on the session today, but he will be back for some of the sessions in the future as well. But he's sending his best regards to everyone and to Mette, who's joining us today as well. Lovely, so let's get started. I'm just going to check for any comments or questions. We've got Jim Henderson joining us. Hello Jim, good to see you. Thank you very much for joining us. Guys, like I said, for those of you who have just joined us live, and please say hello, tell us your name, tell us where you're joining us from. And like I said, this is one-off opportunity where Mette is joining us as an expert guest speaker to talk about wedding fashion. And the more questions we've got from yourselves, the more informative and the more engaging we can make this session for you. And this is built with you wedding planning in mind, for helping you along this process as well. Fantastic. So we've got plenty of us here already, so I think I'm going to get started and introduce the session today. So a couple of things to mention is that we will have the official introduction in just a moment, then we will proceed with the interview itself, and there will be an open Q&A available today as well. So if you've got any pressing questions but you'd want to keep them right to the end of the session, you're more than welcome to do so. But we highly encourage questions and answers throughout the session today as well. So make the most of the time and pop your questions in the comment boxes below. Before I introduce our guest speaker, for those of you who haven't met me before, my name is Oscar and I am the wedding guru Oscar. I started my independent wedding planning and wedding venue consultancy in November 2019, but I've been involved with the wedding industry for over a decade. Started back in 2009 and initially delivered and ran weddings on the day for a city centre hotel in Edinburgh. This is where I've learned majority of the logistical understanding of weddings for 4.5 years of my career. And then I moved on to the wedding planning, officially looking after couples from the moment of inquiries through the whole wedding plan process, consultations, menu tastings, final details planning, and on the day coordination as well. This was when I was looking after 3 city centre luxury venues in Edinburgh, looking after over 130 weddings across those 3 properties. And it was also during that time that I was very honoured to have been nominated by my wedding plan couples to win 3 Vows Awards and the Scottish Hotel Award as well. It was also during that time that the highlight of my career was contributing to some of the biggest publications of weddings in the world, with Love My Dress blog and Smashing the Glass, which is the biggest Jewish wedding blog, and some of the more local publications with the Scottish Wedding Directory, Tie the Knot Scotland, Luxury Scottish Wedding, and My Scotland Wedding as well. So if you're looking for inspiration, highly encourage you guys to check them out today as well. But we're not here to talk about the wedding guru Oscar. We're here to meet our wonderful expert guest speaker today, who is Mette from Freja Designer Dressmaking. So I'm going to bring Mette up to the screen right now, guys, and allow me to introduce our wonderful guest speaker. Mette, thank you very much for joining us this evening, for giving up your time to speak to our wedding planning couples. We've worked for so many years now, and I know that you're passionate and enthusiastic about weddings and wedding dresses, so it gives me great pleasure to have you joining us on the panel today. But before we get started, I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and about your business.
Yeah, good evening, and thank you so much for inviting me along. I've been excited to come here on cold, frosty evening and tell about dresses. So my name is Mette and I run Freja Designer Dressmaking, and I have done for about 20 years. And it's a small couture studio in the centre of Edinburgh. And what's unique is that we make everything here on the premises, and we try and source environmentally friendly or conscientious materials to make our dresses in. So we make wedding dresses, and we do a lot of mother of the bride, mother of the groom outfits as well. So yeah, we keep busy. We do all individual and basically take the individual bride or mother, ask them everything about what they want and what they do. So it's not about this year's popular detail. It's about what they want, what is their personality in what they wear.
Brilliant, fantastic. So pretty much you kind of take the couple, the bride, the mum, or even the bridesmaids through the kind of journey of designing a very bespoke creation every time. Is that right?
That's absolutely correct. We've got a small collection of wedding dresses that brides can come in and try on, and a lot of the time, I mean, occasionally a bride say, "Oh, I want this dress. I just love it." But most of the time, the brides say, "I want the skirts of this one. I want the sleeves of the other one." And then I've seen this detail on Pinterest, and can you just add that in some kind of way to the dress? And that's so we sort of build it together.
This is interesting, you know, something that I've not considered before, Pinterest for wedding dress shopping, but I suppose it totally makes sense. So good to see that couples are using that facility a lot more often these days as well. That's fantastic. Thank you very much for that, Mette. That's a fantastic introduction. So for those of you guys that see that there's more faces joining us live as we speak right now, for those of you who have joined us right now, we are hosting Mette from Freja Designer Dressmaking today, and we're talking all things wedding fashion. We'll be talking about the latest trends, we'll be talking about the shopping experience, and Mette is super excited to bring some of the advice and tips for yourselves today. So fantastic. I can see that Dougie, you've joined us today. Good to see you. Number one top fan for the Wedding Guru, Oscar. Great to have you with us. Thank you very much. So guys, like I said, this is your one-off opportunity to speak with our expert guest speaker. The more questions we've got from yourselves, the more we can help you along this wedding planning journey and make this session a little bit more exciting and informative as well. So, we're going to move on to the next question I've got for yourself, Mette. And you've kind of introduced the theme of it a little bit already, but I wonder if you could kind of pursue it a little bit further. What, in your opinion, makes your business unique above any other?
Well, when I set up making dresses, I was between two sort of professions. I wanted to do some sport, or I wanted to do some dressmaking, and I think it sounds very random, but I've kind of rolled them into two. I'm very fascinated of how the body works, and I really want the clothes to emphasize the body. I want that to emphasize the movement. I absolutely hate when people are, I always talk about hands-free dresses. You should never have clothing on that you need to adjust as you move. I want brides to glide. I want them to not be like worried about stepping in that dress or the dress falling down or this, all these kinds of things. So I really wanted to make personal dresses that fits well and encourage and emphasize the body. So that is the one thing. And the other thing is that there are very, very few businesses that offers a true bespoke service. A lot of bridal shops, they may say that they offer a bespoke service, but often it isn't truly bespoke. It's just that you can make the sleeves longer, or you can add some lace here or there, but there are actually very few businesses that offer a true bespoke service. And I just think it's such a shame when you buy something so exclusive and so special for such an important day, if you have to compromise and say, oh, I wish I could just change the lace, or the color is a little bit dark, or anything, I just think that it would be so important to get it completely right. And with us, you can do that, because you can choose every single detail and material with us.
Amazing, that's fantastic. It is important, obviously. Wedding dress is, above all, probably one of the most important elements of the wedding. So you want to obviously get it right, and you want to feel comfortable in it. I suppose we'll be talking about this a little bit more in detail in just a moment as well. But you've said it quite correctly. The movement is quite often not considered for dresses that are maybe bought off the rack or bought in bridal shops. And I've seen it so many times at weddings where, it's not quite fitting and the bride's having to fix it. Or what's worse, I've seen brides sitting at the top table and struggling to have the movement required to sit down and enjoy the meal and all that sort of thing. So very, very important. Something that I've not thought about, but I'm glad that you're obviously the expert here that makes sure that everyone is comfortable in their outfit on their special day. So that's fantastic. Great. Lovely. So Mette, we've got questions from our audience, and I'm going to start bringing that up on the screen.
Okay.
So Dougie is asking, how do you incorporate, what do you recommend in the way of bustles, loops and twisty things for brides who will be having a ceilidh and don't want to be tripping over their dresses? What do you recommend they say to their dressmaker?
Well, it's a good topic, that, actually, because I get a lot of brides that say to me, could you put a bustle in my dress, and could you make it really strong, because I was at a wedding and the bustle fell down. Well, there is that thing that if you've chosen a wedding dress in a really, really delicate material, and you are going to dance like a crazy person, and you're going to have your groom is maybe a rugby player standing on it like half the time of the wedding, and then you're going to move. So it's better actually that the bustle goes than the dress rips all the way up. So that is one thing. Like, you must remember that I think sometimes with Scottish weddings, and I must say I love a good ceilidh, but the really delicate wedding dresses, they are not really sort of performance wear, if that makes sense. But I think a lot of bridal shops, they take an easy way out and just do one bustle. So what we normally do, we would do a couple of bustles at the center back, and then because it doesn't help to just bustle it up at the center back. The side backs will be too long, and they often cause a lot of trouble. So we generally put bustles in the side back pieces as well, if that makes sense, sort of between the center back and the side seam, and bustle that up as well. So there's like maybe about 5 different bustles. So
Wow.
that should help a lot. And then the other thing is that the people who is responsible for doing the bustles, make sure they know what they're doing, because sometimes I've seen people come and say, oh, the bustle didn't work, or blah, 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 and then it wasn't even used. So make sure that whoever has got the responsibility, make sure you show them before they've had the first glass of fizz that what to do, how to do it, so that they know, because it's some giggle if you've already had a couple of glasses and then you have to do this up like no one knows what they're doing. So that's the 2 pieces of advice I have on the bustle business.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Dougie says Dougie obviously looks after Kayleys for capos, and he's a Kaylee collar and ensures that Kayleys are really good fun. But he says all his brides are like that. So I'm assuming, Dougie, you mean that they're really big dancers and they enjoy a good party. So important. And like you said yourself, you cover all bases, and you've got 5 bustles there. That kind of covers it. But it's actually so interesting what you've said, is making sure that people who are responsible to look after that on the evening know what they're doing. I've been to weddings where the dress was completely on the floor every time somebody was trying to do it, because nobody knew what was happening.
Yeah.
And effectively I just jumped out and I said, guys, I do this for a living. Like, wedding planners are otherwise known as dress fluffers. Let me help. So important, definitely.
Once I got a thank you letter from a bride, and she was a real funny bride, and she wrote to me, I have one piece of advice for you going forward. When you tell mums and bridesmaids how to do up the dress and how to do up the bustle, make sure they are listening. So and that is the case, because they're like, whoa. So we often do a little video or a little tutorial at the final fitting, so everyone involved knows. And sometimes I draw a little diagram I put in the pocket of the dress bag and so on. So so that everyone knows what's going to happen.
Brilliant. Dougie says that's a brilliant advice. Absolutely fantastic. Great. We've got Laura Russell joining us from the Old Course Hotel. We will be hosting Laura in a couple of weeks' time. And Laura says, having seen Mette's work firsthand, I can't recommend her highly enough. Her passion is second to none. I second that, definitely, Laura. That's a spot on testimonial. Thank you very much for joining us today, and I can't wait to host you in a couple of weeks' time as well. But that's lovely. Perfect, guys. Like you see, there's plenty of comments and questions popping in already. This is your one-off opportunity to speak with our guest speaker. We are live currently on Facebook and on YouTube channel as well. So if you've got any fashion-related questions for our expert today in relation to wedding dresses, this is your time to make the most of the opportunity. So we're going to move on. I had actually a few questions sent ahead of the interview today on Instagram and Facebook, so I'm going to go ahead and ask the first one. So, Mette, are jumpsuits and cigarette-style trousers becoming more popular for modern brides?
I think they are. I think also, like, I don't like to mention the C word, the COVID. We've had all these change of weddings, and I think a lot of brides have had to change their celebrations and all these different things, and they were maybe a bit precious about the big wedding dress that they had bought for the 200 guest stay. So maybe they bought a little jumpsuit that they could wear to the register office and for dinner with their parents, or so that they had different celebrations and for different days. And maybe some brides are just not comfortable in dresses, and I definitely think that we are going to see a lot more variation on the sort of whole jumpsuits, culottes, cigarette legs, and just the whole less formal dress, maybe with a dress change, and then we've got that thing that you don't trash your dress because for the dancing, because maybe you're in a cigarette leg trouser and some pumps or something. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that. I think also COVID has brought a lot of that sort of slightly more informal styles and a lot of elopement outfits as well. Maybe you don't want the 10-foot train and the cathedral length veil if you are going into, you know, a Valley England coat to get married, just a couple of you, you know, that sort of thing. So I think that is what COVID has brought. It's brought a lot of just a lot of interesting new ideas, fresh things of you may have your day in another way that you maybe intended, and another way than your parents had it, that you maybe do it a couple of times, maybe first a little wedding where you have some outfit, and then a big party where you have another outfit. And I think that we're going to rethink the whole sort of outfit in that sort of way.
Perfect, fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I had done a wedding just on Christmas Eve last year, which was supposed to be the first wedding of 2021, happened to be the last wedding of 2020 because of the lockdown announced on the 19th of December. But effectively, yeah, my bride initially was thinking about, you know, a big dress, but her design changed and she decided to go for the cigarette style trousers, and it was quite interesting because it had almost like a wraparound kind of a train at the back of the trousers, so it gave it nice flow for the first dance and stuff, but she still had plenty comfort in being able to do the movements and stuff like that as well. So so many different ideas coming up, definitely.
We did a fabulous jumpsuit where we had a detachable sheer cape on. If anyone go back and look at our social media last year, and it was just fab because it gave that soft drape of the train of the veil, but it was like really contemporary, cool jumpsuit for a city centre Glasgow wedding. So yeah, I really love that sort of where you take things from like tradition but you reinvent them. I love that. It's just, I think it's cool.
Fantastic. Loving the chat about the dresses and the trousers as well. This is brilliant. So we've got Julie joining us today. Julie says that you are making mother of the groom outfit for her, and it is stunning. So there we go, another testimonial, first-hand testimonial. And we've got a question from Laura. So Laura is asking Mette, how do you recommend that your brides care for their dress or outfit after the big day?
So we actually offer that the brides bring the dress back in, and then we send it to specialist dry clean, and it comes back to us, and we wrap it in acid-free tissue paper and in a box suitable for the size. And we've got different size boxes so that you can basically store it away. I mean, a lot of people come in and say, oh, I really want to wear my mom's dress, and she was married 35 years ago and it's not been dry cleaned since. It's like, because the quicker you get the stains off, the less ingrained in the material they're going to be, you know. So get that done as soon as you can after the wedding. I mean, don't cancel the honeymoon, you know, but get that done as soon after the wedding as you can for the best result. There's often repairs. I mean, you know, a little tear in the lace or something, and we'll do that at the same time. And then we'll box it up neatly for you, and then you can put it away in a dry, cool place. So it's not actually very good for it to hang, because it can just basically stretch. And often dresses are fairly heavy, so the weight on just the point where they hang is really not good for the dress. So dry clean as soon as possible. Wrap in acid-free tissue paper so it doesn't go into chemical reaction with the silks, and then box up, put away, and then you can take it out in years to come and show it to your children or whatever you want to do. But if it is totally trashed, I think there's also you know, we've done forced weddings and things, and you know, the dress is for that day. So I think sometimes don't cry. You've got all the pictures. You have forever in your heart the feeling of you wearing that dress that day. So if that's the case, I think it's sometimes better to just then let it go than to take a half-dressed trashed dress out 15 years later and think, oh, I love my dress so much and this is what's left. So make that decision.
Yeah, absolutely. This is interesting what you've said, because obviously the wedding dress is for the wedding day, and effectively, if it is a country venue or a forest or a barn or something like that, you obviously will be prepared for it. So there's no point of crying over it. Actually, making the most of it and capturing that moment in photography is super important. And you know, like you said, this is actually absolutely amazing. It's something that I didn't even think about or I didn't know about, and it kind of blown my mind now that you provide this service, you know, of after care of the dresses and making sure that they are sustainably stored. I didn't know all these details. Fantastic. Every day's a school day, see? Fantastic. Brilliant. Great. Okie dokie. So we're going to move on to the next question for you, Mette. And the question was, so far, obviously, you've said you've been involved in the fashion industry now for over 20 years. Could you tell us of anything you've been particularly proud of in your career this far?
Oh, we've done so many things. Actually, if I have a bad day, I just go to my photo library and I see all the happy people. It's been an amazing career to have had. You know, the people I've met, they're all like, all the stories are in my heart, and there's been so many stories, and just the fact that we've got an absolute huge following on social media and people's, because the thing is, if you go to a business and you buy a sandwich, you've forgotten it the next day, the next week or whatever, but nobody ever forgets where they got their wedding dress, you know. So it's so nice that we've got such a following, almost like ambassadors of the business that's had something made, and they have their wedding dress, and obviously they don't need another one, but they maybe come back 2 years later and want a little jacket or something like that. So I'm really proud of the reputation we've built and the friendships we've built during the course of that. I think that's just amazing.
Absolutely fantastic. And you know, it's true, we've got so many already testimonials that came up on the screen to our audience as well, from industry colleagues as well as couples who are working with you. So it's just a testament to the relationships that you're forming, and they're lasting for so long as well. So yeah, I think I kind of second that as well. It's I've worked with yourself for so many years, and there's weddings that will be happening for years to come as well, and providing that very bespoke and tailored service is of a fantastic value as well. So that's brilliant. Okie dokie. Guys, we are currently going live. We are hosting today Mette from Freja Designer Dressmaking. We're talking all things wedding fashion, especially in relation to wedding dresses, shopping experiences, and everything to do with wedding dresses in general. And this is your wonderful opportunity to speak with our expert guest speaker. Mette is put aside this hour for us today to help you along your wedding planning journey. So if you've got any questions, she can make the session informative specifically for yourself. So just pop your comments and questions in the box below. Fantastic. We've got another question that came up in before the interview today, and one bride is asking, is a black dress a no-no for a bride?
I don't think it is. We have actually made a few. We make a lot of colored wedding dresses, and I think it's because basically they're not at all available in the shops. So when people have got like a specific request for a colored wedding dress, then we would be more than happy to make it. What I normally do, and I'm sorry if I come across a little bit mumsy, but what I normally do is that when somebody come in and say, oh, I want a purple wedding dress or something like that, I say, I would love to make that for you, but just go away and think about that that's really what you want, and it's not just like an impulse.
Yeah.
And most brides go away and say, look, I've thought about this for a while. I've visualized myself in the situation, in all these things, all the situations of the wedding and everything. And that's definitely what I want. I just want the bride to be aware that this is the one day where I kind of is expected that she wears the white dress. And I'm not saying that she should, but she should just make her decision that she's going against what kind of is expected. And then when I say expected, it's wrong, because some people would be like, but I never expected you to wear white. And that's what normally happens to the girls, the brides, the wear colored dresses. On our social media, we've just recently brought a feature of different dresses in different colors that we've made. So you can have a look there if you're looking for colored weddings. But black is a little bit unusual, but we have done it, and I think it's really nice to do, because we can then take a lot of the really traditional elements of a wedding dress and then do them in black, and then it just looks completely different. And then I think if you've got a lot of other drama going on in your whole wedding design, I think it's stunning. It's amazing, but just make sure that you maybe also spoken to your granny that she doesn't get upset about it or whatever, make sure you have got all angles covered in that way.
No, absolutely. I think this is interesting because I've recently watched a TV series on Netflix, I think it was, and it was on Say I Do, and the bride arrived in this gorgeous, stunning black dress with a lovely kind of multi-coloured cape and stuff. It was just so spectacular. Like the jaws dropped, and it was stunning in every piece and element of that dress. And I just thought this was such a standalone, piece of fashion already there. Absolutely brilliant. Okie dokie. Fantastic. I'm just checking for any more questions we've got on the screen. I think we're all good. So I'm going to ask the next question from before the interview. Okay. The question is about who to invite to the shopping. So the question actually reads, who's best to join me for my dress shopping?
See, this is a really difficult one, because that is somebody that you value the opinion of. But also, this is going to sound a bit harsh, but I've seen it a lot of times that brides bring somebody who cannot put themselves in the bride's place, and they go shopping for what they would like. And that is the worst advice you could take. So have a very good think about if that person that you bring, if she can put herself in your place and give the advice that you need and not the advice that she would want herself, if that makes sense. So that's the first thing. Have a good think about that. And the other thing is, don't bring too many, because I've had a lot of the times when brides are like, oh, I'm bringing all my bridesmaids and my two aunties, and my sister just had a baby and they are coming and everything, and it's just too much. It's just literally too much, and I know it all the time. And then they leave the shop, and then half an hour or 5 hours later, I get a call and say, I couldn't think about the dress. There was too much going on. The baby was crying. My aunties were talking about Christmas, and all this. It's just too much. It's a big decision. You need peace and quiet. You need to basically feel yourself, so don't make that mistake. If you want them, do maybe a little FaceTime with them, or in some other way involve them. It's not a good idea to bring too many to the appointment.
To the shopping experience. Absolutely, I would agree as well. I've seen it, not maybe in a dress shopping experience, but I've seen this in the kind of morning of the wedding when bride is getting ready, and seeing very big groups of people getting ready together. And it was that particular wedding, it was bridesmaids, it was mums, it was aunties, it was everyone else, and the room was filled, and to the point where the bride called me and I thought something was wrong. And she goes, can we have a word, but in the other room? And I thought, oh God, what's happened now? And we went to the other room. She was like, I just needed 5 minutes away. It was just getting too much for me. and it was just becoming overwhelming. I was like, listen, anytime you need 5 minutes, ring me, I'll be there, and I'll, rescue you, Oscar to the rescue, because it can become overwhelming, and you want to make sure at those important times you've got the comfort and the headspace to make those decisions and enjoy those experiences as well. Brilliant. This is fantastic. Thank you very much, Mette. That's brilliant advice. Loving it. Absolutely fantastic. Great, guys. So if we've got any more questions from yourselves, this is your chance to ask them of our expert guest speaker today. Pop them in the comment boxes below and we will move on to the next official question. So ahead of the interview today, Mette, obviously I've sent you some questions to get organised for the interview, and I've asked you, well, I know the answer to the question, but we will ask it officially for our audience today. So are you married? And if so,
yes,
what first-hand advice would you like to give couples based on your own wedding planning experience?
So I'm married, and I have been married for a long time. Actually, 27 years this summer.
Hey.
I love being married, and I couldn't imagine. Like, I've been married longer than I've not been married, and I couldn't imagine life any different. I think if I was to give it advice about marriage, it is prepare for the marriage and not for the wedding. The wedding should be a kind of celebration of what's to come in the marriage. So don't get too hung up about ribbons on chairs, matching ministers' trousers and stuff like that. Don't get too hung up about it, because it's the grand scheme of things, it's not about that. It's about the marriage, and it's about the life that you two will have going forward. So that is my advice. Prepare for the marriage along with the wedding, but that's what I mean.
Absolutely. This is just the start of a long wedding experience from that point on. It's a journey that you're about to embark on, exchanging those vows. So yeah, I second that as well. Brilliant, fantastic. And was there anything on your wedding day that you would have maybe done differently, or something that kind of sticks in your mind that you would go, you need to think about this or do that?
I was obviously very young, but I loved my wedding day. I thought it was just the best day of my life, and I still think back with joy, and I still think that my husband and I have, during these 27 years, we've also spent a lot of time separate and individual, but we've always been supportive of each other's decisions and achievements, and tried to encourage each other to become the best version of ourselves that we could be. So I think it's all about that.
That's so lovely. That's so fantastic to hear, with especially your experience of marriage after 27 years, to say something like that. This is it's absolutely perfect. Thank you very much for sharing that with us today, Mette. So we're going to move on to the next question, guys, and the next question is asking, what surprises you in your business? What's the things that you might have not expected? What's the big surprise?
I think it's just the joy, how many people we've been in touch with over the years, how generous people are with their, time to write reviews, the time to say thank you for the dress, send a card, send a photo, all these kind of things. I mean, that is just amazing. It's also amazing, from a sort of personal development point of view, and the lovely staff that I've had the pleasure of having for many years, how we can all the time redevelop our skills and say, okay, this year, have you seen this designer have come up with this kind of thing, and how can we develop techniques that can sort of support our work and improve our work, and how can we all the time be better at what we want to do. That is so joyful to feel that you're moving on, that you're improving and you're becoming better. And I think that's the sort of good thing about what it's been like to be in business.
Brilliant, fantastic, really loving that. Fantastic, guys. So we are currently live across the 3 platforms. We're live on Facebook and my page, also in my bridal group, and on YouTube. We are hosting today Mette from Freja Designer Dressmaking, talking all things wedding dresses. So if you've got any comments or questions, make sure you use the time, because Mette would love to help you along your wedding planning journey as well. So we've got another question from our audience. The question is, can you tell us about wedding day underwear, best choices and when to buy it?
Oh, this is something that I get so much questions about. So basically, wedding underwear is hugely important. When to buy it? When you are the size that you're going to be at your wedding day, or perhaps buy the wedding underwear, keep the label on and change it if you change your size, because it needs to fit to a T. A lot of brides, they buy a wedding dress and maybe it's open all the way to the waist on the front and all the way to the waist on the back. And I say, I say to them, look, you can't wear a bra with that dress. And they're like, what? But, basically the consideration about the underwear should come before the dress. So if you never ever go without a bra, maybe you should look for a wedding dress where you can have a bra in. So if you have a low cut dress or a low back dress, maybe you should have a stick-on bra. But it's such a big decision, and the whole thing about being comfortable in your wedding dress, be able to do the Kaylee dancing and everything. If it's the first time ever that you wear a stick-on bra, it shouldn't be on your wedding day. So if you're considering buying a wedding dress where you need to wear a stick-on bra, you go and get a cheap, I don't know, Topshop dress or whatever. Try a stick-on bra. Go dancing, see if you're comfortable, because you need a trial run. You need to test these things. You shouldn't be testing that on the day. I would very much be happy to give advice on underwear, sort of in a private message, if that's the case. But I know a lot of bridal shops, they are quite quick to say, oh, you can buy this dress, you can just get a bra stitched in. That is not always that simple. Imagine you have a loose fitting dress. You cannot just stitch in a bra. It's like a t-shirt. If you imagine you have a loose t-shirt and you stitch some cups into that, the cups are just going to rummage around inside that t-shirt. It's going to do nothing for your boobs, So ask advice, maybe not just in the bridal shop, but ask advice from the person who's going to stitch these cups in, if that's actually a possibility, before you make this massive purchase of a dress where you cannot fit your boobs in.
Perfect. No, that's a brilliant advice. This quite often comes up as a question, with obviously making sure that underwear is fitting and at what point you buy it and stuff like that. So this is great to know for our brides who are watching us today. We've got a question from Julie. Julie is asking a brilliant question, actually. She's asking, how soon should we be coming to you in normal times to start the process of having a dress made?
So my favorite thing to do is 12 months in advance. And the reason behind that is because if you are preparing, say, a December wedding, in December, you feel the same about what colors you like, how much clothes you want to wear, what tone is your skin, all these kinds of things. If you prepare for a Christmas wedding in June, it can be quite hard because you like different things. You like powdery peonies, and you like your skin is maybe quite tanned, and you can get away with different colors, and you maybe want floaty chiffons, so they don't transfer too well to if you are organizing a Christmas wedding. Again, if you're in December trying on dresses for a June wedding, all you're thinking about is like a fur jacket, and you're nervous about being cold and all this kind of thing. So in my view, 12 months is perfect, because you feel the same, and colors are the same, light is the same, all these kind of things are the same. But you might not have that luxury. So, if you don't have that luxury, then obviously you can get it. You don't need to buy a dress 12 months in advance. But if I was to say the optimal time to do it, that would be it.
Brilliant, fantastic. This is actually very interesting because it doesn't only apply to wedding dresses. This is the conversation quite often I have with couples about decorations, colours, design for the wedding,
and what flowers
quite
are
often.
available.
Yeah, exactly. I see a lot of couples influenced by what's around them. They're exposed to these type of flowers when they're planning the wedding, but when the wedding is in December or in June, this can be very different. And yeah, that advice is absolutely applicable to all sorts of things. A high recommendation of mine is always to look at, dress, as you said yourself, brilliant advice there. But look at your venue, your flowers available 12 months before your wedding, and then that will give you quite a good indication of what to expect for your wedding day, and it'll give you a lot more kind of focused approach to it.
Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant, fantastic. And Julie says, same for mums. Yeah. It definitely helps looking at it 12 months before as well. And Laura says, oh my god, I never thought of it like that. That makes so much sense, Mette. Brilliant. Everyone is learning today. Loving this. Brilliant. Fantastic. Great. Okie dokie. We're going to move on to the next question, guys. So I've got the question here for Mette. Mette, could you tell us one piece of advice you believe all newly engaged couples should be aware of?
I think what is really easy to do is to get completely carried away on Pinterest and look at like really extortionate budget weddings of celebrities and royalties and stuff like that, and just think, oh, I want this, I want that. Is that really important? It's all fine to look at these things, but what is important to you? You might do the same kind of ideas, but in a quirky budget way, or you might take one of the, like, maybe you're completely into flowers and you just go all out on flowers, but maybe you do some really savings in other ways. Just be like, back to the marriage and the wedding, make sure what's important to you. And there's a lot of things there's like kind of expected, maybe also from the older generation. Have a good talk about if that's something that you value, because I love tradition, I love rituals, I love all of that, but not just choosing them blind. Pick the important things to you and cherish them and make something special of those on the day. And just be careful not getting carried away with the whole Pinterest and the perfect wedding, but because there isn't such a thing. That is just perfect to you.
Absolutely perfect. I do quite often say to couples, actually, yes, be mindful of the fact that you are catering to masses. You need to take that into consideration, but also don't go too far with that by pleasing everyone else around you and not enjoying your wedding day and feeling like this was all done for everyone else's approval. You need to be a little bit selfish. This is your one and only opportunity to get this right and enjoy your special day. But yeah, of course, consider other guests and family members who are involved as well. Kirsty MacLeod has joined us as well. Kirsty saying, great advice to think about dress, decorations, flowers, etc. the year before to keep in line with what suits the time of the year and is available. Absolutely, Kirsty. It's so important. Quite a lot of the time I actually arrange for appointments with my couples a year before their wedding to visit the venue, look at what sort of things are happening at the venue, what's the nature doing for us at that time of the year, what's the weather like, what sort of flowers are available, if there's a wedding on that day, maybe having a wee look at what that couple is designed for the wedding, does that go with your wedding? And obviously what Mette said about dresses, you look at outfits completely different in the winter when you're planning for the summer, and vice versa, the other way around as well. So definitely fantastic. Right, we've got a question from Laura. Laura is asking, are you finding that you are making a lot of dresses that change for the evening, i.e. top changes or skirts? Good question, Laura. Thank you very much.
Yes, that is. So obviously, like we talked about earlier, that we've not had many weddings this year, but the ones that we've had, they've been a little bit sort of pieced together because they were having different things because of the COVID situation. But traditionally, and also going forward, I'm pretty sure we do this a lot. We're going to do this a lot again. So absolutely love the whole thing about, like for an example, long sleeves. A lot of brides love like a long sleeve or three-quarter sleeve and things like that for the ceremony, because it gives some kind of formality and it looks really nice and everything. But then we're back to the whole Kili thing. You just look too formal if you have this long fitted sleeve, and it's really quite hard to dance in, you know. So things like sleeves, tops can come off. We often have made, if somebody has a lace long sleeve over their top, they either take it off and they've got a strapless dress underneath, or we can do the same top without sleeves for the evening. We've done a lot of like detachable trains. We've done, you know, detachable cape, sort of like capes that almost looks like veils that sit on the back. Also, capes on its own, sitting over a dress. It completely transforms the dress from day to evening. Sort of second skin or mesh overlays. Either go inside the dress or over the top of the dress. Jackets that go over the top. Oh, there's endless possibilities. Wrap over skirts, and then you've got a fitted pencil skirt or shorter skirt underneath. So many options. There's loads of options of things that we've done on our social media that you can see that we've previously done like that. We're just doing one at the moment where it's got a big rose at the side where the skirt basically bustles up into that, and that gives a very different look for when it's up or when it's down. We did a short dress with massive sleeves that's coming up on Facebook one of the next days, with a detachable train that was sitting on a belt. We've done lots of those separate belts with trains on, also going on top of cigarette legs trousers and also on top of culottes. So it brings that kind of bridal vibe to a trouser suit. So yeah, lots of options like that. It's really good, and it's I think it's quite good that it sort of cuts the day up as well, because you have the really formal part, and then you have the sort of dinner, and then you have the dance. So the outfit sort of transforms into the different parts of the day. So yeah, love doing that sort of thing.
Brilliant. I wonder, have you had many brides having different dresses for day and night time?
Yeah, we have had that. In particular, people who where the dance is a massive thing. You know, somebody who maybe wants to do like a big actual sort of performance for their first dance. Yeah, a lot of them, they actually change. Yeah, so we've had that quite a lot. Yeah.
Brilliant, fantastic, good to hear that. And it is actually quite interesting to what you've said. You know, I had weddings in like autumn and stuff like that, and a lot of brides then kind of worry about, you know, what to wear for the top half if they're going away for photos and stuff like that. So if you've got jackets made bespoke to fit that dress, then oh my goodness, it just all ties in quite nicely together. Great. Brilliant. Okie dokie. We're going to move on to the next official question we've got for yourself, Mette. So I've asked you ahead of the interview today what, in your opinion, couples should consider more of looking at wedding fashion, wedding dresses.
I just think that they should consider what they feel comfortable in other situations. You know, if you're the person who never wears a low neckline, don't do that on your wedding day. You know, if you are really one that's really unfussy in your style, you know, don't be somebody you're not. You know, be yourself, but obviously as a bride, but be yourself. That is sort of what I want to say.
Brilliant, fantastic. That's great advice as well. So, guys, we are starting to wrap things up for our interview. We've been talking for 55 minutes, which is exciting, and there's been so many great questions already. There will be one more official question before we go to the open Q&A at the end of the session, and then I will be revealing my free guide for you guys to take away today as well. So bear with us just a few more moments, a few more questions, and then we're going to move on to the wrap up of our interview. So this is your last chance, guys, to pop your comments and questions in the comment boxes below to speak with our expert guest speaker. So, Mette, before we go to the next official question, I had a question coming in before our interview from our audience. She saying, you kind of have covered this already, but for those of our audience who have maybe joined us in the last few minutes, somebody's asking here, should I leave wedding dress shopping closer to the wedding day to ensure best fit?
So I think she means slightly different. So I have this huge issue with brides think it's compulsory to lose weight before the wedding. It's not compulsory. It's not. You don't have to do it. You don't have to, and you don't have to tell me that you have to do it, because if you need to or want to lose weight, you arrange that yourself. You have to organize, you have to sort of commit to that yourself. But a lot of people think that basically you drop a stone by posting the invites, and it's not like that. It's if you want to lose weight for your wedding, you have to make a plan and follow that plan and carry that out, because it's not easy to lose weight. And I think in the olden days, people were losing weight up to their wedding because they were nervous and things like that. But these days, we've got so much access to foods and snacks, and there's so many social events before the wedding where you maybe have a drink and you don't make it to the gym that night. And so a lot of people actually gain weight towards their wedding without actually noticing. So that whole thing about the perfect fit, I think you should not have your dress finished before the wedding, but you should, if you want to lose weight, get that organized as soon as possible, because if you lose weight really close to your wedding, you're going to look tired. Your face is going to look. Do it early, get stable, get toned up, look nice for the wedding, and then you can get your dress fitted. But don't do that fruit fast the 2 weeks before the wedding. Just don't.
Yeah, I've seen it going wrong as well. You want to make sure that you're strong and feeling healthy for your wedding day, because there's nothing worse. One of the advice I always give my brides is, you might be feeling on the wedding day overwhelmed, nervous, not feeling like you want to eat an awful lot. But considering that, you're getting ready from very early in the morning a lot of the times, if it's bigger bridal parties, hair and makeup takes so long, then getting in the dresses and stuff, then your ceremony, then you're away for photos, you're not sitting down for your meal until 5 o'clock. So if you've not got a good base on the morning of the wedding, that's another reason why you might not be enjoying the full day. And if you're fasting before the wedding, you might not feel quite as strong, quite as comfortable. So I second that as well. Wow, Mette, you've been absolutely fantastic. You've given us so many golden nuggets today. This is brilliant. Great. So we're going to move on to the very final question before we officially go to the open Q&A, guys. So this is your call for any remaining questions. So I know you've got quite a broad background coming into wedding dresses, but could you talk us a little bit more about it? I know you wanted to obviously discuss how you've come about to do wedding dresses, so we're here to listen.
Yeah, so it's quite funny because I've made clothes all my life. I made my own clothes from I was 9, and then amazing. I made, before that I even made some for my doll. I made quite wacky things, but I still made them and wore them. I've always been really fascinated how clothes is a way of communicating. I think before you've even said anything, people have sort of seen your clothes and they kind of almost judge you and make a decision on what kind of person you are and so on. That inevitable language have always fascinated me, and always been interested in clothes, interested in the history of clothes and the social history linked to the makers of the clothes, which were, you know, traditionally often women. So I took a degree in couture design in Denmark, where I'm from, and there was lots of art history and stuff in that education as well. And I did my dissertation on Scottish estate tweeds, and I set out to do tweed jackets and, you know, ladies lovely tweed jackets, tweed skirts with suede trims, all this kind of thing. And I set up my business starting to do that. But then somebody said, "Oh, could you make my wedding dress?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then another one, "Look, could you?" And yeah, and it just the whole wedding thing took off from there. I still love working in tweeds. I still love doing all these kinds of things as well. But the weddings have just completely, yeah, I've fallen in love with the whole wedding industry and the whole thing that it is. Yeah. So that's
This is amazing. This is, you know, clearly you've got passion for fashion, full stop, you know.
Yeah.
But kind of seeing how that passion has evolved from kind of your tweeds to wedding dresses, this is absolutely fantastic. We've got Kirsty saying thank you, lots of good advice and interesting chat. Thank you very much, Kirsty. Lovely that you could join us today as well. There's a couple of more things before we finish up as well, and there will be the free guide shared up on the screen in just a moment. So we're moving on to the final open Q&A questions for you guys. And there's a couple of questions that came in before we started today, so I'm just going to read them out. But guys, if you've got any more questions for our guest speaker, make sure you use this final moment as well. So we had a bride asking, how can I accent my fiance's tartan within my dress?
Oh, we have lots of examples on the website. We have done belts, bows, buttons. Oh, so
is it
many.
Quite a popular concept?
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Sashes. Yeah, we've done lots of things. I personally think it's kind of almost the less you have, the better. I actually love when there's like almost nothing, but yeah. And that, because I think sometimes it can be almost like slightly obvious. Oh, here comes the tartan. I love when it's just like a touch of it. Or we also do that a lot where it's cut on the bias. That means that we cut the tartan in a diagonal. So in that way, it's slightly harder to see which pattern it is, but it's got that tartan, and it's the fabric, once it's cut on the bias, on the cross of the grain. So nice. It becomes more pliable, and it's a lot easier to bend and do different things with. So yeah, I absolutely love incorporating tartan. So we can do that in all kinds of ways. We've also done it a lot for the mums.
Fantastic, brilliant. I wasn't sure if it was a big trend, but this was a good question, so I thought I'd ask as well. And the very final question, this is a very broad question. You've touched upon this already. What's trendy right now?
What's trendy? So again, as I was saying earlier with the COVID thing, I think there's a lot of less formal dresses. I think we see a lot less of that. I think there's a lot of layering. So where you use different types of lace. So you maybe have a really fine cobwebby one layered with a big chunky guipure on top. There was like maybe patterns of that. So there was like, yeah, so it comes out quite layered and textured. And so that's kind of one direction. And then, so that trend has been around for a while, but it's sort of evolved a little bit. So it sort of maybe came from the sort of quite bohemian side of things. So I think we've got all that sort of stuff going on. And then I think we've got the opposite direction with the really, now how would I describe it? Like really clean line, really like tailored, really quite structured, really sort of strong materials like micados, zibelins, satins, really quite geometric details, no lace or no sort of floatiness about it, like, but really quite structured, quite formal dresses. So there's that direction as well. There's quite a lot of sort of like romantic embroidery, potentially with embroidery with colors. That sort of direction as well is another sort of trend. Yeah, so there's quite a lot of different directions coming and going in bridal at the moment. So really exciting things. So we can't wait to get started on all these
again. Absolutely.
lockdown engagements that's been happening. So yeah, we'll apply all these new trends to that.
Brilliant, fantastic. And we've got a very final question from Nicola. Nicola is asking, not getting married till next year, thinking of a collared navy top with cream bottom half, but don't want it plain either. However, not exactly slim either. What shape should I go for, and how can I explain to designer to incorporate this? So we've got collared navy top, cream bottom, don't want it plain, and good shape for somebody who's not the slimmest. I'm kind of gathering from the question how to describe this.
We design for all shapes and sizes. There's no, you don't need to be a certain shape or size. We always work with the body we have, and we love that. And everyone can look nice, and it's not about what size you are or anything like that. I think we could definitely work with something like navy and cream, definitely. I think maybe a thing you could do, and also to develop your ideas, is like maybe go on Pinterest or Canva or something and make like a little bit of a kind of like a storyboard. It sometimes helps me when people come in with saying, oh, you know, even if it's like quite a loose idea, like you say there, navy and cream. If I get a feel for, if they make kind of like a storyboard, I mean, it doesn't need to be, it can also just be like cut out paper in a little folder, you know. If I get a little, if you can imagine that you bring me all orchids and floral decorations, there's like orchids and there's like really stylized and everything. I feel like go in one direction with the design, as opposed to if you bring me pictures of flowers, they're really bushy and chunky greenery and all things like that, I maybe get a different feel for what kind of vibe you have. So sometimes it can help me a lot if you bring in and say, okay, so I kind of like these kind of flowers, and I was thinking that the venue would be decorated in this kind of thing, you know, then it kind of creates a fuller picture. And sometimes it can be really hard when you start off and you think, oh, I like this thing, I like that thing, and I also want some of this, and then you end up with lots of things. But slowly you will find that you think, no, I like this one better than that one, so that one goes out of the folder. I like this one better, and you actually will see a thread come together. And this would be really helpful for every person that you speak to in the wedding industry, because they can get a feel for your overall thinking and what you like and things like that. So I could definitely work with that sort of thing.
Definitely, it's a good advice, Mette, because effectively quite often working with capos, mood boards are so helpful, because it just, even if it's a rough idea around so many different concepts, it creates that kind of starting point. And quite often working with capos, especially on my full wedding planning packages, we sit down and we work through so many different mood boards until we get it right. And you know, it's fine for a couple to say, this doesn't work, this is kind of there but not quite there. It's the conversations, and the more things you see, we're visual, like a lot of us are very visual, and seeing things in front of your face, it starts to kind of shape up what you like, what you dislike, and how that ties in together. So, and it helps designers, I can imagine that as well. Obviously, none of us are designers, you are, so if you get a couple of ideas together, it'll definitely give you a better idea. Brilliant. And Nicola is saying, thank you, that is really helpful. Can I get your details, please? That is coming right in just a moment, Nicola. Bear with us a moment. I'll be sharing all the contact details up on the screen. We've got Dougie saying, very, very useful for all his brides. Laura saying, thank you, Mette. You're just fabulous. My jacket is treasured piece. Oh. I've seen the jacket. I definitely know it's absolutely beautiful. And we've got Laura saying, thank you. This was fabulous as well. Right, guys, before we finish up, I have promised to share with you my free guide app on the screen. So this comes up next. So just before Christmas, I sat down and organised a brand new guide which focuses on saving time and maximising your wedding budget. So if this is something that you're struggling with or something that you would want to get a bit more advice on, this is available for you free of charge today, and you can get this guide by heading over to the link up on the screen, which is bit.ly/save time and money Oscar. All you'll need to do is pop your email address there and you can start using it free of charge from day one. There's really good tips that will help you understand what to avoid to obviously make the most of your time, and also how to maximize your budget and have value added to your wedding that way as well. Obviously, we're all working hard. We want to make the most of what we've got, so it is important to consider all elements of that in the wedding as well. However, if you're interested to find out a little bit more about how we could work together, you can book a 15-minute free consultation today on my website. The contact details come up in just a moment. And help with wedding planning, from one-off consultations to full and part wedding planning, also supplying on-the-day coordination for those venues that don't offer that service or don't have on-the-day coordinator included. So quite a spectrum of things. If you're doing DIY weddings, you want a one-off consultation, or you're in the final details planning stage of your wedding, I can help with that. Or I can look after the entire journey, from sourcing the venue, liaising with suppliers, negotiating, mediating, and making things happen for you. I can do it all. You tell me where I could fit into your wedding plan, and I could take the stress and the pressure away, and get you enjoying the dress fittings and, you know, cake tastings and everything else fun in the wedding planning as well. Wonderful. So before we finish up for today, guys, we've got another guest speaker, another exciting guest speaker joining me next Thursday. That's the 18th of February at 6 p.m. Gerlof from Jeeps Photography is joining me. You might have seen quite a lot of our collaboration going on for the past few months. I mean, I am biased because Gerlof did my and George's wedding 3 years ago, and we absolutely love the energy of the guy, and the photography he does is absolutely outstanding. So if you're looking for something a little bit different, something original, something full of energy, Gerlof will be able to give you tons of ideas next Thursday at 6 p.m. and we'll be talking about advice about wedding photography specifically. So, we're finishing up for today. It's been fantastic hosting our wonderful guest speaker today. We've got all the contact details for myself and Mette up on the screen right now. So you've got the telephone number, website address, email address, and social media handles for Mette and Freja Designer Dressmaking. The website is freja-fashion.co.uk. Email address is inquiries at freja-fashion.co.uk, and you can find Mette and her team on Facebook and Instagram by searching Freja Designer Dressmaking as well. It's been fantastic hosting you for the interview this evening, Mette. Thank you very much for giving us your time and your advice.
Thank you so much for having me on and for all the participation. It was nice that you were all there for us.
Absolutely, so much engagement today, so many brilliant questions as well. And for those of you who have joined us today, thank you for getting involved, for all the fantastic questions and comments today as well. I hope you all have the most wonderful Thursday evening, and I will see you hopefully with George and Gerlof next Thursday at 6 p.m. for a session about wedding photography. Fantastic, guys. Enjoy your evening, and thank you very much again to Mette.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.